Maria had waited for this day for a long time. For 25 years, the walls of the prison had been her home, and the days had been full of routine, silence, and regret. She had grown older behind those walls. Her hair had turned silver, her hands had grown wrinkled, and her body had grown weaker, but her heart had never lost hope. She had dreamed about freedom in quiet moments, imagining the first breath she would take outside. Today, that dream had finally come true. The morning sun was gentle and warm when she stepped through the heavy gates. Birds sang in the distance, and the air smelled of fresh grass and earth. Everything outside the prison walls felt new and bright, almost as if the world had waited for her to return. Her steps were slow, but each one was full of purpose. She carried only a small bag with a few belongings and the letters she had kept for years, letters from her daughter Lily, who had grown up without her. Her mind was filled with memories of her husband Daniel. He had passed away shortly after she was sent away. Maria had never seen him again after that night when the guards had taken her from her home. She remembered the way he had held her hands and whispered that he would wait for her. And now he was gone. She had imagined visiting his grave 1,000 times, imagining what it would feel like to kneel there, to speak to him, and to tell him she had survived. The journey to the cemetery was quiet. Maria watched the city pass by in shades of green, brown, and gray. She saw children playing in small parks, old men sitting under trees, and women walking with their shopping bags. Life had continued without her, yet it also felt like nothing had changed. She realized how much she had missed, and a wave of sorrow washed over her. Finally, she reached the cemetery. It was a quiet place, located on a gentle hill with tall oak trees surrounding it. The sunlight filtered through the branches, creating patterns on the grass. The air was still except for the soft rustle of leaves. Maria felt a strange mix of peace and sadness. She walked slowly, her eyes searching among the rows of tombstones. She knew where Daniel's grave should be. She had asked for directions from the cemetery office before coming, but now that she was here, it felt different. When she saw it, her heart stopped for a moment. The stone was simple and neat, with Daniel's name engraved in clear letters. Someone had placed fresh flowers on the grave, and Maria felt tears welling in her eyes. She bent down and touched the cold stone. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice trembling, "I am here now. I am free." She imagined him listening, imagined him smiling at her, and for a moment, it felt like he was standing right beside her. Maria closed her eyes and let memories flood her mind. She remembered their wedding day, the way Daniel had held her hand tightly, promising that they would be together forever. She remembered the nights they had spent talking about their dreams and the times they had laughed until their stomachs hurt. Prison had taken away those years, but it could not take away the love she had felt. Then, she noticed something that made her chest tighten. There was another grave right beside Daniel's, almost as if it had been waiting for her all this time. The name engraved on it was Lily, her daughter. Maria's hands shook, and she almost dropped the letters she was carrying. She had imagined meeting Lily after all these years, embracing her, telling her about the years they had lost. But now, she realized she would never get that chance. Maria sank to her knees in the soft grass. She held the letters tightly, feeling their smooth edges against her fingers. Each letter had been a piece of her daughter's life, a story of the years Maria had missed. And now, the grave told a story she had never expected. Lily had grown up without her, and now she was gone. Maria could not understand how it had happened. Questions filled her mind, but there were no answers. The sun rose higher, and the light touched the graves, making the stone shine softly. Maria stayed there, speaking quietly to her daughter. "Lily, I am here. I have come to you. I wish I could have been there for you, but I will never stop loving you." She read the letters once more, remembering the little notes about Lily's school, her friends, and the small victories she had achieved. Each word felt like a bridge to the daughter she had lost. Maria realized that the world had changed, but some things had remained the same. Her love for her family had never faded, and now it would guide her steps. She sat quietly beside the graves, feeling the weight of the years and the warmth of the sun. It was a mixture of sadness and peace, knowing that she could finally be close to Daniel and Lily in a way she could not before. She noticed other people walking in the cemetery, some leaving flowers, some standing in silence. No one rushed her, and Maria felt grateful for the quiet company of strangers. She began to plan what she would do next. She would need to learn more about her daughter, about how she had lived, and about the people who had cared for her. There were many questions, and perhaps some answers could still be found. Maria stood up, brushing the grass from her coat. She looked at Daniel's grave, then at Lily's. She whispered softly, "I am here, and I will not leave. I will carry your memories with me. I will honor your lives every day I have left." The cemetery felt calm, almost like it was welcoming her back into the world she had missed. She took a deep breath and walked slowly down the path, feeling a mixture of sorrow and determination. The letters remained in her hand, a connection to the past that she would never let go. Maria knew that the days ahead would be difficult, but she also knew that she had survived the hardest years of her life. Now, she had a chance to find peace, to remember, and to honor the people she had loved. The sun climbed higher in the sky, and the birds continued their songs. Maria felt a quiet hope growing in her heart. She had returned to the world, and she would face it one step at a time. Her journey had just begun, and she knew that the memories of Daniel and Lily would guide her through every challenge. Today, she was free, and for the first time in many years, Maria believed that life could still hold beauty, even in the midst of sorrow. Maria left the cemetery slowly, carrying the weight of grief and memories with her. Each step felt heavy, yet her determination pushed her forward. She needed answers about Lily. Questions crowded her mind. Who had taken care of her daughter after Maria was sent away? How had Lily grown up? Why was she buried here, so close to Daniel? Maria knew that finding these answers would not be easy, but she could not ignore the pull of her heart. She owed it to her family to understand what had happened. The streets outside the cemetery were busy with people walking, children laughing, and cars passing by. Maria felt like a stranger in a world that had moved on without her. She paused to breathe in the air, remembering the first time she had walked freely as a young woman with Daniel and Lily. That memory was sharp and painful. Everything she had lost flashed in her mind, but she refused to let it stop her. She needed to move forward. Maria decided to go to the local records office. She thought it might hold information about Lily, such as who had cared for her and what had happened over the years. The building was old, with tall windows and a heavy wooden door. She stepped inside, feeling a mix of nervousness and hope. The clerk greeted her politely, and Maria explained that she was trying to find information about her daughter. The clerk looked thoughtful and then asked for Maria's full name and the details she had about Lily. Maria provided the information carefully, her hands trembling slightly. She told the clerk about Daniel, her husband, and the years she had spent in prison. The clerk nodded slowly, understanding the gravity of her request. After searching through several files and computer records, the clerk handed Maria a folder. Inside were documents that revealed pieces of Lily's life. Maria learned that after she had been sent to prison, Lily had been taken in by a kind family friend named Mrs. Allen. Mrs. Allen had cared for Lily as if she were her own daughter. She had attended school, made friends, and grown into a thoughtful and bright young woman. Maria's heart swelled with pride as she read the letters that had been kept in the folder. Each letter told stories of small joys, achievements, and moments of laughter. Maria felt closer to her daughter even though Lily was no longer alive. The folder also explained why Lily was buried beside Daniel. Mrs. Allen had chosen the cemetery and arranged the burial so that Maria could find them together one day. It was a gesture of love and respect, ensuring that mother and daughter would be united in memory. Maria's tears flowed freely as she held the documents. She had felt pain and loss, but now she understood the depth of the love surrounding her family. Even in death, they had been cared for and remembered. After leaving the records office, Maria walked through the city streets, holding the folder tightly. She stopped at a small cafe to rest and reflect. She ordered tea and sat by the window, watching people pass by. Life seemed so ordinary and yet so full of small, beautiful moments. Maria realized that she had missed these ordinary days, the little joys and simple routines that make life meaningful. She decided that she would honor Lily and Daniel by living her remaining years with care and love. Maria remembered Mrs. Allen's name from the documents. She knew that meeting the woman who had cared for Lily could bring more answers and perhaps some comfort. She asked directions and soon found herself standing in front of a modest house with a garden full of flowers. She took a deep breath and rang the doorbell. Moments later, the door opened, and an elderly woman with warm eyes smiled at her. "Maria," she said softly, "I have been waiting for you." Maria stepped inside, feeling both nervous and relieved. Mrs. Allen led her to a small living room filled with photographs and memories. There were pictures of Lily at school, celebrating birthdays, and spending time with Mrs. Allen and her family. Maria looked at each photograph, remembering the daughter she had known in letters and stories. She felt a mixture of joy and sorrow, but most of all, gratitude for the love Lily had received. Mrs. Allen spoke gently, telling Maria about Lily's life. She described her daughter as kind, thoughtful, and bright, always caring for others and curious about the world. Maria listened intently, imagining Lily growing up, smiling, learning, and helping those around her. Mrs. Allen explained that Lily had fallen ill suddenly. Despite the best care, her condition had worsened quickly. Maria felt a sharp pain in her heart, knowing that her daughter's life had been shorter than it should have been, but she also felt a sense of peace. Lily had been loved until the very end. Maria and Mrs. Allen spent hours talking, sharing memories, and looking at photographs. Maria told stories from the letters she had received over the years, and Mrs. Allen added details about everyday moments. Together, they pieced together the life Lily had lived, creating a story that was both sorrowful and beautiful. Maria felt that meeting Mrs. Allen was a gift, a way to connect with the life she had missed. Before leaving, Maria asked Mrs. Allen about the grave beside Daniel. Mrs. Allen explained that it had been her decision to place Lily there. She wanted Maria to find comfort in seeing them together, to know that love had not been lost even when life had taken unexpected turns. Maria held Mrs. Allen's hands and thanked her with tears in her eyes. She promised to visit often and to keep the memory of Lily alive in her heart. As Maria walked back to her small rented room, she felt a sense of determination. She knew that life would not be easy, and there would be days when sorrow would return. Yet she also knew that she had a chance to rebuild her life, to honor her family, and to find peace. The city lights began to glow as evening approached, and Maria felt that each step she took was guided by the love of Daniel and Lily. That night, Maria sat quietly in her room, reading Lily's letters once more. She whispered softly, "I am here, Lily. I will carry you with me. I will live, and I will remember you both every day." For the first time in many years, she felt a sense of hope. The past had been painful, but the future held promise. Maria had survived the hardest years of her life, and now she would walk a path of memory, love, and healing. Outside, the city moved on with its quiet rhythm, and Maria felt that she had returned to a world full of possibilities. She would honor the life of her daughter and the memory of her husband. She would learn to live again. And although sorrow remained, Maria knew that love had the power to guide her through every step of her journey. The next morning, Maria woke up with a sense of purpose. She had spent 25 years in prison, and now she had the freedom to choose her path. She could feel the sunlight on her face and the soft breeze through the window. It was a small room, rented in a quiet neighborhood, but it was hers. She had no family nearby, but she had memories, letters, and photographs that connected her to Daniel and Lily. Maria decided that she could not stay indoors. She needed to walk, to breathe, and to begin living again. She remembered Mrs. Allen's words from yesterday, encouraging her to see the world beyond her sorrow. Maria dressed simply and left the room, taking a deep breath as she stepped onto the street. The city was full of life. Shops opened their doors, children ran along the sidewalks, and neighbors greeted each other warmly. Maria felt a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. The world had changed while she had been away, yet it also felt familiar. She began visiting the places she had once known. First, she went to the small park near the cemetery. She sat on a bench and watched families play. Mothers pushed strollers, fathers guided children learning to ride bicycles, and old couples walked hand in hand. Maria felt a pang of longing. She had missed these moments with Lily and Daniel. She could not bring back the past, but she could observe life and find comfort in the small joys she had lost. Next, Maria walked to the small bookstore she remembered visiting with Lily's letters in mind. The owner, a kind man named Samuel, greeted her warmly. He did not know her story, but he smiled and asked if she would like to look at the new books. Maria wandered through the shelves, running her fingers over the pages. Books had always been a place of escape for her, and now they were a bridge to a world she could still explore. She picked a few volumes and decided to buy them, thinking she could read at night and remember Lily's curiosity for stories. While walking home, Maria noticed a small community center. She remembered Mrs. Allen mentioning it as a place where Lily had spent time learning and helping others. Maria felt drawn to it. She entered hesitantly, and the coordinator, a friendly woman named Rosa, welcomed her. Maria explained that she had just returned to the city and wanted to learn about the community. Rosa smiled and invited her to join some classes. Maria realized that this could be a way to connect with people, to rebuild friendships, and to feel part of a life she had missed. The days passed slowly but meaningfully. Maria began attending classes at the community center. She learned new skills, helped organize small events, and listened to stories from the people who had grown up in the neighborhood. She shared some of her own experiences carefully, talking about the importance of love, family, and hope. People were kind and respectful, never judging her past. Maria felt a sense of belonging she had not known in decades. One afternoon, while helping at the center, Maria met a young woman named Anna. Anna reminded her of Lily, with bright eyes and a gentle smile. They talked about books, school, and dreams for the future. Maria realized that through helping Anna, she could feel closer to Lily. She began mentoring young people at the center, encouraging them to follow their dreams and appreciate the small moments of life. Each interaction brought Maria a little more peace and a sense of purpose. Maria also visited the cemetery regularly. She would sit beside Daniel and Lily's graves, speaking softly about her day, the people she had met, and the stories she had learned. She placed fresh flowers on the graves, sometimes brought by her own hand, and sometimes gifts from neighbors and friends she had met at the community center. The graves were no longer just reminders of loss, they became a source of inspiration. Maria felt that Daniel and Lily were guiding her toward a future filled with hope. Through these visits and interactions, Maria began to heal. She realized that life was not only about remembering the past but also about building new memories. She wrote letters to Lily as if she were still alive, sharing her experiences and thoughts. Each letter, read quietly by the graves, helped Maria release some of the sorrow she carried for so long. The act of writing became a ritual, connecting her past and present, giving her comfort and strength. Maria also reconnected with old neighbors. Some remembered her from before her imprisonment, and while some were cautious, most welcomed her warmly. She spoke with them about Daniel and Lily, about the life she had missed, and about the lessons she had learned. People admired her courage and resilience. They saw how deeply she loved her family and how she was determined to make the most of the time she had left. These conversations helped Maria feel grounded in the world again. As weeks passed, Maria began exploring other parts of the city. She visited gardens, libraries, and small cafes. She spoke to shopkeepers, bus drivers, and strangers who smiled at her kindly. Each interaction reminded her that the world was full of people who could offer kindness, friendship, and support. Maria understood that she could not change the past, but she could choose how to live now. Her heart, once heavy with regret, began to feel lighter with each passing day. One evening, Maria sat on the small balcony of her room, looking at the lights of the city. She held Lily's letters close to her chest. She whispered softly, "I am living now, Lily. I am learning, helping, and finding peace. I will honor you and Papa every day." She smiled, feeling a connection that was stronger than time and distance. She understood that love did not end with death. Love continued in memories, actions, and the choices she made every day. Maria's life was far from perfect. She faced loneliness, memories of the past, and the reality of growing older. But she faced each day with courage and determination. She had rebuilt a small but meaningful life, and she had begun to find peace in the simple moments. Her love for Daniel and Lily guided her, inspiring her to make her days count, to connect with others, and to find joy even in sorrow. She realized that her journey was not over. There were still questions, still challenges, and still opportunities to grow. But Maria felt stronger than ever before. She had survived the hardest years of her life. She had found love, hope, and purpose in unexpected places. And she knew that every step she took would honor her family, keep their memories alive, and bring light to her days. Maria closed her eyes and took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the evening air. The city hummed softly around her, full of life, full of possibilities. She had returned to the world, and she would face it with courage, love, and hope. She had learned that even after great sorrow, it was possible to rebuild, to heal, and to find peace. The memories of Daniel and Lily were not chains of grief but wings that lifted her toward a future filled with meaning. Maria had settled into a quiet rhythm. Her days were full of small routines, from visiting the cemetery to helping at the community center and exploring the city. Yet, a part of her remained restless. She had learned about Lily's life from Mrs. Allen and from letters, but there were still pieces of the story missing. She wanted to know more about the daughter she had never truly met. Who had Lily been to her friends? What had she dreamed of? How had she touched the lives of others? Maria felt that discovering these things would bring her closer to understanding her daughter. One morning, Maria returned to the community center with a determined spirit. She spoke to Rosa, the coordinator, and explained that she wanted to meet some of Lily's friends and learn about her experiences in school and in the neighborhood. Rosa smiled warmly and agreed to help. She called a few people and arranged a small gathering at the center in the afternoon. Maria felt nervous and excited. She hoped that meeting these young people would help her piece together more of Lily's life and personality. When the afternoon came, Maria sat in a circle with several young women and men who had known Lily. At first, they were shy, unsure how to speak with a woman they had only known through stories. Maria spoke gently, introducing herself and explaining that she was Lily's mother. She encouraged them to share memories freely, assuring them that she wanted to listen and understand. Slowly, the group began to open up. One of Lily's friends, a young woman named Sarah, spoke first. She remembered Lily as kind, cheerful, and always willing to help others. She told Maria about school projects they had worked on together, how Lily had been a leader in organizing events for children, and how she had always been thoughtful, noticing when someone was sad or needed a friend. Maria listened carefully, her heart swelling with pride. Each story painted a picture of a daughter who had grown into a remarkable young woman. Another friend, Thomas, described Lily's curiosity and love for learning. He said that she had spent hours reading books, asking questions, and helping others understand their studies. Maria imagined Lily as a bright, energetic young woman, full of life and enthusiasm. She realized that even though she had missed the years, Lily's spirit had been strong and beautiful. Maria felt grateful that her daughter had left a mark on the lives of those around her. As the afternoon continued, more friends shared their memories. They spoke of birthday parties, school competitions, and small adventures in the neighborhood. Maria noticed that Lily had been loved and respected by many. She had inspired others with her kindness, curiosity, and courage. Listening to these stories, Maria felt that she was slowly building a connection with the daughter she had never met in person. The grief that had weighed heavily on her heart began to soften, replaced by a sense of wonder and admiration. After the meeting, Maria spent time talking individually with some of Lily's friends. She asked questions about their daily lives, their memories of Lily, and the moments that had stayed with them. Each answer added another layer to her understanding. Maria learned that Lily had been especially passionate about helping younger children. She had volunteered at the community center, assisting teachers, organizing games, and reading stories aloud. Maria smiled, imagining Lily's gentle voice and bright eyes as she guided the children. Maria also learned about the challenges Lily had faced. She had grown up without her mother, missing the guidance and comfort that Maria would have provided. Yet, Lily had shown resilience and strength. She had formed strong friendships, worked hard at school, and remained kind and thoughtful. Maria felt tears of pride and sadness. She had missed so much, but she could see that her daughter had lived fully, leaving a legacy of love and care. Later, Maria returned to the cemetery. She brought fresh flowers for both Daniel and Lily. She knelt by their graves, holding her hands over the stones. "I have learned more about you today, Lily," she whispered softly. "You were brave, kind, and full of life. I am proud of you. I am so grateful for the love that surrounded you." Maria stayed there for a long time, letting the quiet air of the cemetery embrace her. She felt a connection not only to her daughter but to the people who had loved her, keeping her memory alive. As days turned into weeks, Maria continued visiting the community center and meeting Lily's friends. She became involved in local activities, helping children learn and grow. She shared stories of Lily, teaching lessons about kindness, courage, and hope. Maria realized that she could honor her daughter by helping others, by spreading the same love and care that Lily had given to those around her. Each day brought new experiences, new memories, and a growing sense of purpose. Maria also began exploring the city further. She visited places Lily had loved, like the library where she had spent hours reading, the park where she had played, and the small cafe she had frequented with friends. Walking through these places, Maria felt a strange closeness to her daughter. She imagined Lily laughing with friends, sharing stories, and enjoying the simple joys of life. Maria understood that even though she had missed the years, she could still feel a deep connection to Lily through the spaces and memories she had left behind. One evening, Maria returned home, her heart full of stories and reflections. She sat by the window, looking at the city lights. She held Lily's letters once more and read them carefully. Each word reminded her of her daughter's curiosity, hope, and love for life. Maria whispered softly, "I am carrying you with me, Lily. Every day, I will honor your life and your spirit. You will always be part of me." She felt peace in her heart, knowing that her connection to her daughter could never be broken. Maria also began thinking about the future. She wanted to continue helping others, learning, and exploring the world around her. She realized that life was full of possibilities, even after great sorrow. She had survived the hardest years and now had the chance to make her remaining days meaningful. Daniel and Lily's memories would guide her, reminding her to live fully, to love deeply, and to cherish every moment. Through these experiences, Maria began to understand that healing was not about forgetting the past. It was about embracing the memories, learning from them, and finding ways to move forward. She felt that each act of kindness, each conversation, and each new experience was a tribute to her daughter's life and her husband's love. Maria realized that even though the past could not be changed, she could shape the present and the future with hope and care. Maria's life was slowly transforming. She had found a rhythm, a sense of purpose, and a community that supported her. She visited the cemetery regularly, met Lily's friends, helped children, and explored the city. Each day brought challenges and emotions, but also moments of joy and connection. Maria felt that she was finally living again, not just surviving. She understood that her journey was far from over, but she had taken the first steps toward building a life filled with love, memories, and hope. Maria woke early on a soft spring morning. The light through her window felt gentle and warm, like a promise. She sat on the edge of her bed, breathing slowly, thinking about how far she had come. Just months ago, she had walked out of prison with only a small bag and a heart full of fear. Now her days were filled with faces, stories, and purpose. She felt alive in a way she had not felt in decades. Today was special. The community center was holding a small event to honor volunteers and to open a new garden for children. Rosa had asked Maria to help lead it. At first, Maria had hesitated, unsure if she deserved such a role. But Rosa had smiled and said, "You bring calm and hope. People feel safe with you." Those words stayed in Maria's heart. She dressed carefully, choosing a simple blue coat that Lily had once described in a letter as her favorite color. Maria felt as if her daughter were walking beside her. She picked up a small bouquet of white flowers and stepped outside. The city greeted her with morning sounds and gentle movement. She decided to visit the cemetery first. At Daniel and Lily's graves, Maria placed the flowers between the stones. She knelt and spoke softly. "Today is a new step for me. I will help others, just as Lily did. I will live with kindness, just as you both taught me." She closed her eyes for a moment, feeling peace settle in her heart. She no longer came here only with sorrow. She came with gratitude. At the community center, the garden glowed with fresh plants, small trees, and colorful stones placed by children. Families gathered, talking and laughing. Maria stood near the entrance, greeting people. She recognized many faces, from children she helped with reading to neighbors who shared stories with her over tea. Each smile felt like a gift. Rosa called everyone together. She spoke about the importance of community, about how every person carries a story, and how kindness can change lives. Then she invited Maria forward. Maria felt her hands tremble, but she stepped ahead. She looked at the crowd and saw hope in their eyes. She spoke simply. "I lost many years of my life. I lost time with my family. But I learned that even after loss, life can grow again. This garden is a place where children will learn, play, and dream. It reminds us that every seed needs care. People are the same. When we care for one another, we grow." She paused, breathing in. "My daughter loved helping children. She believed in small acts of kindness. I carry her spirit with me. Every day, I try to live in a way that honors her and my husband. You have given me a second chance to belong. Thank you." The crowd clapped gently. Some people wiped tears from their eyes. Children ran toward the garden, laughing as they touched leaves and stones. Maria felt something warm and bright rise in her chest. It was not the pain of the past. It was the joy of the present. In the weeks that followed, Maria became a steady part of the community. She helped children read, listened to teenagers talk about dreams, and comforted elders who felt alone. People began calling her Aunt Maria. The name filled her with quiet happiness. She no longer felt like a visitor in the world. She felt rooted. She also continued writing letters to Lily. She described the garden, the children, and the stories she heard. She read these letters at the cemetery, smiling as if Lily could hear every word. The act no longer felt heavy. It felt like sharing life. One afternoon, Maria received a small package from Mrs. Allen. Inside was a notebook Lily had kept. It was filled with thoughts, drawings, and simple hopes. On one page, Lily had written, "I want to make places better for people." Maria held the notebook close. She understood now that she was living that dream. Maria decided to create a small scholarship at the community center in Lily's name. It would help children buy books and school supplies. Neighbors contributed what they could. The fund grew slowly, but it carried great meaning. It became another way for Lily's spirit to guide others. As seasons changed, Maria learned to enjoy the flow of time. She watched leaves fall, flowers bloom, and children grow taller. She accepted that sorrow would always be part of her story. But it no longer ruled her. It walked beside hope. One evening, Maria sat on her balcony, watching the sunset. She held Daniel's old watch in one hand and Lily's notebook in the other. She spoke softly into the quiet air. "I am living well. I am not wasting the time I have left. I am carrying you with me in every good thing I do." She closed her eyes and felt calm. Life had given her pain, but it had also given her another chance. She had learned that freedom was not only leaving prison. It was learning to forgive herself, to open her heart, and to step forward without fear. Maria knew her journey would one day end, just like every life. But she was no longer afraid of that truth. She had learned that what mattered was how she lived now. Each kind word, each helping hand, each quiet moment of care became part of a larger story. In the city, children grew, families formed, and neighbors shared simple joys. Maria walked among them, no longer invisible. She was part of the living world. She carried the love of her husband and daughter not as a burden, but as a light. Her story did not end with loss. It continued with purpose. And in every small act of kindness, Maria proved that even after the longest night, a new morning can begin.